We need to send somebody over to go check on Angry Cops because he might have an aneurysm, as this news has come out about this woman that he made a video pretty much burying 6 feet under with his words. Has maybe had some form of justice. I don't really think so. I'm going to let you guys be the judge because honestly, I'm shocked at how little that this person's getting as their time in jail. Now, if you guys forget, there was somebody by the name of Sarah Jane Kavanaugh that Angry Cops made a video about. The 107 Foundation and a bunch of other military veteran organizations had helped and were bringing awareness to some of the tragedies that she had done, as she was pretty much falsifying being a veteran and she was committing fraud. But that was brought to light, and she was falsifying documents, including DD-214s, including cancer documentation workups, labs, service records, things like that, as she'd worked at the Veteran Affairs before, and she was able to have so much inside information that it was so good she almost got away with it. But that's until now. That's because we have Task and Purpose confirming for us fake Marine gets 70 months in prison for defrauding veteran charities. 70 months. 5 years. Let's go. It says a Rhode Island woman convicted of falsely claiming to be a combat wounded Marine as part of scams to defraud veterans charities out of more than $250,000 has been sentenced to 70 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. They say Sarah Jane Kavanaugh, 32, has also been ordered to pay more than $284,000 in restitution, and a federal judge has reinstated 261 hours of paid leave donated to Kavanaugh by federal employees, a Justice Department news release says. So not only was she taking $250,000, now she's going to pay more than that back, which I'm going to say her name will be Googleable forever, and they're going to see that she's been this piece of you-know-what, and she will not be hired or be able to pay it back. And sadly, I'm going to say that this money is just written off. On the same note, the fact that she was a federal employee being donated time off for these fake cancer stories, that she was getting paid by the VA or by some kind of government job and getting time off for free for this stuff out of sympathy from others, as it's known if you're a federal employee, you can actually donate time off to other people in need, and that can happen when people have very, crazy and traumatic life events. I just can't believe it, man. 260-something hours here. It says on August 9th, Kavanaugh pleaded guilty to wire fraud. I'm glad she pleaded guilty. Aggravated identity theft, forged military discharge certificate, and fraudulent use of military medals, according to the Justice Department. She also admitted to the federal judge that she'd stolen the identities of a Marine veteran and a Navy veteran who was suffering from cancer while she worked at the Department of Veteran Affairs in the Rhode Island VA Medical Center. Sarah Kavanaugh's conduct and the course of her scheme is nothing short of appalling, U.S. Attorney Kuna said in a statement after Kavanaugh's sentencing on Tuesday, but brazenly laying claim to honor, service, and sacrifice of real veterans, this defendant preyed on the charity and decency of others for her own shameless financial gain. I'm grateful that with today's sentence, she has been brought to justice and will face the consequences of her action. I have to say, the fact that we have people that probably could have used this money, right? Like 107 Foundation, these other, entities, the money that they have to use to pay to have people vet and do research and make sure things are legit, to help people out, boots on the ground, you look at this is more waste than just the $284,000. This could be, resources and finances that could have been used for people that were actually needing them. So there's possibly even other suffering that could have been accounted from this. And I don't know if they ever brought that up in the court case. It's not brought up here, but there is a secondary and tertiary effect that you're going to see from Sarah's actions here, right? Like for her gain of this, there's someone else that's suffering that probably did have a real cancer issue. Kavanaugh's attorney, Kensley Barrett, declined to comment, obviously, on Wednesday, explaining that his client currently being held at the Donald W. Dwight Detention Center in Rhode Island, and he could not speak about her sentencing until he spoke with her. There's nothing to say other than you were caught. That was it. It says, for 5 years, Kavanaugh defrauded veterans charities by claiming to be a Purple Heart and Bronze Star recipient who was wounded by a roadside bomb blast while deployed with the Marines and later developed service-related cancer, the news release says. Now, I'm going to go on this little tangent. Whenever you hear about people doing fraud, whenever you hear about people doing something crazy like this, it always seems like they always take the step just like, that just doesn't seem right. And Bronze Star, Purple Heart, all that, like, Come on, Sarah, you're really stretching. You could have toned it down, toned it back a little bit. Maybe a Navy Achievement Medal with Valor, maybe, not the man that did all the cool stuff, but maybe a tertiary help assistance of what was happening in the combat zone. You went too far above and beyond, and you tried to, I don't know. I just say try a little harder to think of like, who would believe this story? Between 2017 and 2021, Kavanaugh received $207,000 from the Wounded Warrior Project, as she said she needed for groceries and physical therapy sessions, according to the Department of Veteran Affairs Inspector General's office, which I'm like, I'd be asking, like, what physical therapy is not being covered by the VA? What? I don't know what story she could have came up with. But again, she works the VA, so maybe she had some good knowledge or know-how to say like, hey, this is happening, that's happening. I need to get in sooner than later. But she also raised more than $4,700 for a fundraiser allegedly meant to help her pay her medical bills, for which she falsely claimed to have saved the lives of Marines after a roadside bomb blast. Other charities gave Kavanaugh money to purchase a new furnace for her home and to pay for her gym membership fees. I mean, I would say to any of these organizations, like, why are we paying for gym membership fees unless it was somehow helping with her physical therapy? I don't know the depths of that, but obviously quality of life, you should be able to go work out or whatever. But I'm like, how many things did she just say, wow, these guys are just so helpful to anybody that has some kind of connected service disability issues, man. Kavanaugh's scheme fell apart after the 107 Foundation, a prominent veterans group, announced on January 31st, 2022 that it was refunding all donations that it had received after sharing Kavanaugh's story on Instagram, because it had discovered that she had no service record. Zero. Not even a poke. Kate Mannion, a co-host of the podcast Zero Block 30, was the first to report the story. At the time, Kavanaugh was serving as a commander of Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 152 in North Kingstown, Rhode Island. She resigned from the position on the same day that the 107 Foundation revealed that she was not a veteran. In a February 1st, 2022 interview, Kavanaugh told Task and Purpose that she was never affiliated with VFW Post 152. She had never told the 107 Foundation that she was a Marine veteran suffering from cancer, and that she had never accepted donations from charities. Sarah, she should have just owned up to it to begin with. I look at this and, sometimes you just go too deep in the lie. And that's what I see is what happened with Sarah Kavanaugh. It got too deep. The Bronze Star, the blast, saving people, cancer, not to mention these lies as well, which I'm sure there's text messages, things that reported that she was the top person, and people that, were working at this post probably were like, yeah, this is the girl. You know what I mean? Not everybody around you can be a liar. And that is why people at Post 152 at this VFW have actually spoken out in this article with Task and Purpose, saying how this has impacted them. Retired Army Sergeant First Class David Ainsley says the current commander of VFW Post 152 read a statement in court on Tuesday that he has tried to rebuild the organization in the wake of her destructive path. The Post gave Kavanaugh more than $6,000 in dollars in the years after she joined in 2016, during which she earned members' trust. Sarah saw an opportunity to personally enrich herself by masquerading as a disabled veteran with documents she acquired and misused from her well-paying federal service job, Ainsley said, while simultaneously acting as a trusted confidant to many client veterans during the day at the VA. She was spending her evenings and weekends siphoning extremely limited resources destined for some of those same client veterans, as she sought to upgrade a nicer car, go on vacations, and buy gifts for herself. And just like I say, the secondary and tertiary effects that are going to affect the ability of people to be helped, because of her pulling this, I also have to say, they're not wrong at this post. And just, I would say military organizations in general. I mean, you talk Wounded Warrior Project, you talk about a bunch of other places that people have had their own levels of scrutiny and criticism and things like that, and to raise money for stuff like this, you're going to sit here and say, now those people are going to say, how do we know that these organizations are going to effectively be able to vet people that need these resources? Is my money actually going to that and appropriate people? Because it's trusted that you have veterans trying to help other veterans. And I have my own thoughts of that even being the case, because it shouldn't be veterans helping other veterans. There should be this thing called the VA that does that. But, that's neither here nor there. But, do you think that this is justice for this situation of 5 years of frauding these military veteran organizations and getting help and kind of, milking the system as much as you can? She does have 3 years of probation afterwards as well. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. As like I said, I don't think the money's going to go back to the pockets it should have been. But let me know down in those comments below. If you guys like topics that I cover here on YouTube, hit me up over on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.